Good afternoon to all the students who are attending this session from all across our IMS centers. Very good afternoon to all of you. I heartily welcome both our past IPM achievers. Ranveer was the first ever from Ludhiana. Just now, before starting this session, some parents were there outside. So I was again sharing with them that Ranveer was the first ever from Ludhiana to reach IPM for the IPM program of IIM Indore. And it has been means that time is still fresh in our minds. It seems the saying is true, the time flies away. It just seems it was yesterday only. And then we were sharing about Mrigesh also, and all our other achievers. So to start, we'll start with a small Ranveer, we will start with you. You just share how what were the thoughts when you started to think about IPM, because at that time IPM was not that very famous. And from that stage, when it started, you started the prep until now, your perception about the IPM program, what it was and what it is now. So kindly share your thoughts about that.
Right, sir. So I'll just give a brief background about myself. I'm a commerce student. I had subjects like business studies, commerce, accounts in my 11th and 12th. And for me, the right amount of idea was to get into probably a BCom honors course, because that was my plan at the beginning, like before I had joined IMS. And so my possible criteria of going in was colleges in the Delhi University or maybe Narsi Munji, Symbiosis, and Christ. So these were some potential colleges that I had known about at that point of time. But my sister was studying at IMS at that point of time, preparing for CAT. So I got to know about this course, IPM. Although at that point of time, it was not very famous. But since the IIM Indore tag was there, it was something that, everyone will, if they hear about this course, they'll just try to look about it, what it is about. So that was when my parents, as well as I, looked into the course. And then I thought maybe, it's a good idea to prepare for it. And you never know if you get into it, because there were only limited number of seats across India and a lot of people were, giving the exam. Then talking about my preparation, I joined IMS, I think 5 months before the IPM exam happened. So that was around December of my 12th. And at that point of time, we used to have classes only on weekends. So that was because we had our boards coming up and, students wanted to focus on board exams. And then eventually after our board exams were over, that's when the preparation started. And we were prepping every day for 4 to 6 hours, studying hard for these exams. And then eventually when the exam happened, the exam was a little tough. But given the strategies and tricks that we learned in class, through the course, through the teachers at IMS, we were able to crack the exam. And then eventually the interview sessions also helped us to crack the interview. And finally, I got my admission there.
Very good. You when you were here a few days back, interacting with students, you shared the difference, that the safety net, because you don't have to give CAT later on and you get migration directly to MBA program. And you were sharing that how much that is, I think, one of the very big salient points of this program.
Definitely, sir, because when people give CAT, the number of people that they have to compete with, it grows exponentially. So let's say if 30 to 40,000 people are giving the exam for IPM, the number of people giving the exam for CAT is exponentially higher. And given that IIM Indore comes into the list of top 10 colleges in India, I think this is a very salient factor that students should consider while sitting for this exam.
So earlier there used to be a talk that there is some discrimination which students of IPM face during the interview rounds. But you were sharing that this year all the students got placed on the second day itself. And there was, I think there was no differentiation between IPM students and PGDM students. So I think that myth is now quite resolved.
Right, sir. So just to talk about that a little more, the differentiation does exist to a very minimal setup. Although the differentiation is reducing every year because companies are figuring out that, students of IPM are achieving accolades in the industry, they're doing well. And since more and more they hear about this course, the more they would want to get students from IPM into their companies. So although the differentiation is there, but it's very minimal and it's only reducing with years to come. And about the placements this year, they have been phenomenal. All the people got placed within the first 2-3 days of the placement process. And although it also goes to the market situation right now, because the market is very upbeat and companies are hiring very fast, but that's also a great thing going forward, because it only gets better. The placement packages and everything only increases going forward.
So, Mrigesh, you can share that the different structures which are taught, the different pillars of the IPM program. You have just completed 3 years. So the arts, the tech, and you were sharing when you were here about the finance and other things. So what are the how you think your friends have been doing BBA or BCom from other colleges, and you have done IPM, Bachelor of Arts, Foundation of Management. So how do you think that this program is different, and what it teaches you, which makes you a little unique?
Yes, sir. So I feel the most important feature of the program is that it's not a conventional BCom or a BPA degree. This is a Bachelor in Arts. So it's a BA in Foundations of Management. And the beauty of this course is that it is a multidisciplinary program. We have subjects such as philosophy, psychology, statistics, and all other fields. We even have conventional coding. We have coding in R, C, Java, object-oriented programming. We have SQL. We have all these relevant industry relevant softwares that we are taught at a very early stage in our careers. And I think this is very beneficial because we are at a point in our lives where we have to decide what where do we see ourselves in the industry. And to make this decision in a very like well informed way, you need to have an exposure to these subjects. So in a conventional BCom or a BBA degree, you sometimes tend to be limited to core management concepts such as business studies, accountancy, economics. But over here, even if people want to pursue any number of diverse fields after their bachelor's, all doors are open because we have the exposure to all of these subjects. Not just that, we also have a social internship at the end of the second year, where students are mandatorily required to intern in a social organization. I think that also sets us apart from other conventional programs, is because we have this element of making students socially conscious people. So it is not just about gaining bookish knowledge or gaining theoretical knowledge, but also applying it in an corporate setup. So if I can go first, so I was part of the academic committee. So currently I am the academic coordinator for the program, and we had many participants who wanted to get this coveted position. The responsibilities include participating in curriculum review, suggesting new courses for IPM, suggesting how IPM can be better designed as a program, making sure all the faculty members and students have clear communication established between them. We act as a bridge between the authorities and the students. In my second year, I was part of the social placements committee as the coordinator. And as I already mentioned, we are responsible for getting students internships in such organizations. So it was our duty to get all of our students placed, especially in a COVID era. So that was a great learning experience. All of the participants in the program are very enthusiastic to get into these roles, and our seniors only hold these selection processes, and it's a great learning opportunity. I have always tried to participate as much as I can in these committees and all of these clubs, and that I think is a great feature of the IPM program, is that they encourage you to participate and go out of your comfort zone, because only then can you truly understand your potential. So yeah.
Ranveer, your experience with the committees.
Right. So my experience has been in different committees than Mrigesh, and I'll talk about some of the committees that I've been a part of. So when I joined IPM, I was part of the sports committee. So sports committee is basically the committee that organizes all the sporting events within the college. Let's say it's a cricket tournament, football tournament, and also taking the sports contingent of our college to other colleges for, let's say, any intra-college event or inter-college event. And moving on from sports committee, I've also been a part of fests. And so since students know about these fests because they see them on social media, etc., fests are a very practical learning experience, and I personally believe that they've been a great learning experience for me, because you deal with people right there and then. All of the problems that might come up in any organization, in any working event or working day, you face all of them right now on the spot, and you have to tackle them at your own. You do not have any person to help you. You do not have any supporting member. The college authorities do not get involved in the fest. It's all student run. So this is something that's very important, and we do realize this later on because we see what we have learned later on. As though when we are on the fest date, we do not realize the problems that we faced, what all we can do, what all we are capable of. But later on, we do realize what all that fest or that particular day, talking to people, managing money, managing events, conducting events, and handling crowds of more than 2,000 people, what all the teachers us. Later on in the last 2 years of my college, that's the PGP part, I was part of the student exchange program committee. This is the committee that organizes the student exchange for all the students who go to colleges in foreign countries like France, Germany, etc. So again, this has been an experience totally different from what I had in the first 3 years. This experience involved talking to colleges, foreign colleges, institutions, foreign business schools who were at our stature as well. And that's a different experience altogether because you get some sort of international exposure talking to them, understanding how students from their countries will come here and how students in our country will go there. So
You had
all of these
also gone for
committees,
the foreign internship
right,
yourself.
right,
So
right,
kindly share that experience also, how it
definitely,
benefited.
definitely, right. So I was saying that definitely it's a very different experience as to what all committees and clubs can help you learn. And this is, I think, a very significant factor that IPM has. Although other colleges do have, given that Delhi University has a very high uh, essence of societies as well. But I think since IPM has a very close-knit culture in itself, these clubs and committees help you teach a lot. Now, coming to the part where talking about the international exchange program. So during the IPM course, we get two opportunities to go for the exchange. It's either in the first 3 years or in the last 2 years. We can go once whenever we please. So it's according to our choice, but we can only go once because since we do not want to disrupt the possibility of other students getting that opportunity. So you can either go in the first 3 years or you can go in the last 2 years. So I decided to go in the last 2 years of my college. That is the second year of my PGP. And I had gone to France to Neoma Business School. It's a college that's near to Paris. And the experience was phenomenal. Like, there's no match of what you can learn when you're in a foreign country on your own. You're definitely away from your comfort zone and getting in being in a city, in a country that you are not aware about, that you don't know the language, you don't know how to communicate, and all of those things. That's I think one of the best learning experience that I've had in those 5 years. It's taught me a lot of things, and it's also a great learning experience because you learn to settle in a new city, in a new country, all on your own, and all of these things help a lot. Also, you get to be a little touristy as well. You can go around countries in Europe and whichever place your college is situated in. Currently, IIM Indore, I think, has the largest student exchange program across all IIMs, given I'm Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta as well. So that's one of the plus points of being there in IPM. All right. So in terms of preparation, I think the entire criteria of how well you'll do in the exam is decided how you prepare for it. So if your preparation is good, there's no doubt that you're going to do good in the exam, given that you control yourself, you stay calm during the exam. I will be very honest, the exam for IPM is a little bit tough than the other exams that you have after your 12th. That is, let's say the Narsi Manji exam or the Symbiosis exam or the CRISE exam. The IPM exam is definitely a little bit tough, no doubt about that. But if you prepare well and if you prepare according to how you target the structure of the exam, you'll be able to crack it really easily. It's not very tough to crack because I think there's a clear distinction of which topics questions will be from. And we all know that. I think it's available publicly as well. So if you have that knowledge, then you can prepare well according to what your strengths and weaknesses are. And one thing is giving mocks is very, very important because at the end of the day, it's speed that matters the most. So if you're already able to do mocks, you have that, you know what the pattern of the exam is, you'll be able to crack it. If you not crack it, but you'll be able to complete it, you know what's going to come next. So that very idea helps you stay calm during the exam. So giving mocks, as many mocks as possible, is very important, is what I feel. And working on your strengths and weaknesses is also important. And this is something that I think learning and studying at the IMS Center will teach you a lot, because there will be people who will be better in some subjects, but some topics, but you will be better in some subjects otherwise. So you can work with each other, you can work with the teachers. And also, one more thing that helped me a lot was the tricks that are taught in the IMS class. So in maths, especially, there are some tricks that make the, let's say, solving one question from 1 minute to 10 seconds. I think that makes all the difference during the exam. So these are certain tips that I would want to share about cracking the exam easily going forward.
Yeah. So, my personal experience with IPM preparation was that it is about how continuously and how rigorously you can form a habit. So, I think this entire preparation process is about how much you can condition yourself to ensure that you are putting up hours every day, you are putting up hours every weekend, because in the end of the day, these hours do translate into actual success. Trust me when I say that when you have the experience, when you have solved a particular type of question n number of times, when it does appear in the exam, it becomes that much less intimidating. The first step is identifying which topics are your strongest and which ones are your weakest, and then you can start addressing them. So I think that is where IMS comes in. They have this excellent sectional test program where you can test yourself in particular sections. You have time based questions. You have questions that are adaptive in difficulty, the hard ones, the easy ones. So that is where I feel you have an edge over other students if you join IMS program. And the greatest takeaway from my entire experience for IPM preparation is that no matter what happens, you do not stop, you do not give up. The very reason you are giving these mock exams, the very reason you are attending these classes is to identify what is not working well and then to rectify it. So, in fact, if you are scoring a bit less in a few mocks, if you are scoring a bit less in a few sections, that should be a cause of celebration and not a cause of concern, because now you know what is wrong. And once you do fix it, the same thing will not happen in the exam. And that is the greatest gift that you can take from any preparatory course or any preparatory material. So I feel that it is a test in habits. It is a test of putting yourself in that mindset that this is something that I must do, and I think we'll be able to convince you that the benefits are very much worth the efforts, and the program is really great. And once you do get here, you'll also realize that yes, the effort that we put in was definitely worth it.
How relevant was the interview preparation what we did here? You can just mention, and how important is to stay updated with the current affairs. You can just mention. We tell all our students to watch prime, even the 1 year 2 year program students, we tell them that prime time TV they should try to watch from 9 to 10 different channels, switching from some pro government, anti government channel, neutral, and then forming your own opinion by reading something from the newspaper. It's very very important, because this aspect is very difficult to develop overnight. Once you get a call, the time for interviews left is just sometimes 5 days, sometimes 10 days, sometimes 15 days. So it has to develop over a period of time. So just share that importance also with the student, because I have seen students with God's grace at our center, our success rate in interviews is about 90%. But many times students get a call, but they are not able to convert. So please emphasize the importance of the interview preparation and staying updated with the students. Tell them that they should stay updated, be aware citizens, so that we tell our in the preparation classes, they will in even in the regular IM interviews, many of the students have been asked, you are Mayawati, how will you revive Bahujan Samaj Party? You are Rahul Gandhi, how will you revive Congress? So if you are the prime minister, what will you do in Russia Ukraine conflict as on date? What Mr. Modi is not doing right, or what he's doing right? So that level of leadership they expect from you, awareness. So kindly emphasize the importance of interview preparation also.
Right. So I'll go first. I'll just share my interview experience as well. I remember prepping for interviews just with Manish sir and one of the other professors at IMS Ludhiana. And I'll be very honest, almost half of the questions that they told me to prepare about did come into my interview. So I'm not sure if this is still following, but the IPM interviews are a little academically oriented because you just come out of school and they want to test how well you know your stuff and how well you can dwell on that. And other than that, GK is something that, if not GK, just I think it's very important to know about your surroundings and know what's going on in your country, if not some other place. Knowing your what's going on in your country is very important. I remember being asked about some certain questions of US government in my interview, then also being talked about what's going on in India, who's a certain prime minister, who's the certain minister of a particular head, let's say finance minister, who's the education minister, and all that. It's not so. The idea is to check what you know about your country and how aware you are at the at particular point of time. Because if you go and read the the motto of the IIM Indore, let's say the college, it's about building socially contextual and relevant managers. So knowing what's going on around you is the first part, and then only you can make a change if you want to. So that first part is very important, and being aware. Let's say you do not have an opinion, maybe that can do, but you need to know what's going on to have an opinion. So I think that's important, and that comes with habit. So let's say if you have an interview 2 days down the line, you won't be able to know everything because you can't just grasp everything. You have limited time and space in your head. So you have a habit you build. Maybe you spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day. Gradually take that time up to half an hour. Then only you'll be able to, at that point of interview, you'll be able to know what's going on and what all has gone in the country, in the world, whatsoever. So I think that's important.
So my personal experience with interview was actually that in my interview, the actual IPM interview, I was asked a question that I was told to prepare just one day before the interview, and it was so beneficial to me that it was Munish sir. He told me that you should know the news of the day itself of the interview, because my interview was in the afternoon, and the rationale given was that the people who are interviewing you, they are also globally aware citizens. They are also people who are very much invested in politics, who are very much invested in current affairs, and they are staying at a hotel in the morning when they are having breakfast. They will be watching this news, they will be watching what's going on around in the world. And I was told to do the same. And actually, they asked me, so tell me what has happened today with respect to generalized system of preferences. So at that time, the United States had removed India from the GSP list. And had I not known this, I would have been completely blank, and I would have said, "Sir, I have no idea," because this is not something that you get to know by just glancing through the news. You have to go in depth, and once you know a topic, once you find something of your interest, you need to explore it to the extent that you are sort of an expert in that sense, that you can have a continued informative conversation in which they also learn something. So one thing is knowing what the news is. The other thing is telling them something about the news that can also give them some value addition. And to have that level of knowledge, you need to go through the news articles every day, and at least every 1 or 2 days, because then only you can know, you will be able to correlate the news with other past events. So how has the United States been having trade relations with India for the past 6 months? Once you give that much of a big picture perspective, obviously that is something that will stick in their minds, and it will write home. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons that I cleared my IPM interview. So I think once you see this kind of stories, that you have actual questions in the interview coming, that creates a huge difference in your preparation. And I think that gives you confidence in your preparation as well, that yes, I have prepared so much and maybe I do deserve to be here. So that changes the tone of your interview, your posture changes, your confidence increases. So I think those are very important things when it comes to interview preparation.
They had also asked you about Donald Trump, his
Yes,
leadership
yes.
style, because that was also discussed a few days back, and
Yeah.
it went well. Good. So I think everyone has got an overview of. I want to share a very good news with everyone that Ranveer has been placed with Goldman Sachs at a starting salary of around 20 lakhs as a financial analyst, business analyst. So wonderful start to his career, and all the I am hopeful, and I tell students by that time, the new ones who come now, कि जब तक 5 years के बाद they will be graduating, the packages will be much better, hopefully, the way the trend is and the way the program is gaining traction. So with this, I think most of the questions we have answered. We hope everyone liked the session and will benefit from it. So thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for arranging this. Thanks Brigesh for taking out your time. Thanks Ranveer for taking out your time. And best wishes for your job at Goldman Sachs. We hope you become very senior manager there very fast, and then you come back and tell students what are their role, financial analysts and the business analysts do. And best wishes Brigesh for your PGDM journey. So with that, we close today's session. Best wishes to everyone. Thanks for attending.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Best wishes to everyone.